Hi guys, and welcome to Siska Stitches. Today's tutorial is going to be on how to draft an off-shoulder princess in bodice for both the front and the back. And I also did like a test garment for this to more or less like test the fitting of this pattern. So you guys should watch to the end so that you can see what I did with the garment and how I was able to make adjustments where necessary. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're an old subscriber, welcome back. Click the subscribe button, click the notification bell so you get notified whenever Siska Stitches post new videos. And now we can go ahead and begin the tutorial process. So guys, what I have here is basically like a layout for drafting a basic bodice pattern, which is what we're going to use. So I have all the lines drawn out. As you can see on the pattern, you have your bust line, bust point line, under bust, and then your waist. And right there at the folded part is the center front. So this line we have here is our nipple to nipple measurement line divided by 2, which is running from your bust point line, from my bust point line basically through my under bust and then my waist. And my nipple to nipple measurement is 7 divided by 2 is 3.5, and that's all we have right there. I'll just go ahead and mark that measurement at my under bust area. So I'll be going with 1 inch on both sides right there, which I'm going to mark. So for the waist area, you can go with the same 1 inch on both sides. You can go with half an inch, you can go with 3/4 inch. That is definitely up to you. So that I'm going with 1 inch on both sides, and then what I'll go ahead and do is to connect those points together. So joining under bust to my bust point line, I would need a French curve for that. So I'll just use that to curve it, to join the point. And it is curved because your bust area is actually curved. It is not straight. So I'll rather use a curved ruler than use a straight ruler to join these points. So once we're done with this, now we're going to make an extension upwards above the bust point line. So I'm going to be making an extension upwards by half an inch. So I'm just going to mark that right there. And then the next thing we're going to do is come to this armhole area. So my armhole divided by 2 is 4.5, which is what I have there. And then I came down by 1 inch. And that 1 inch I came down by is what I'm going to join to the half inch above my bust point line. So I'll just join it and extend the line outwards like so. Then the next thing I'm going to do is mark half an inch on both sides of that line, that extension. So I'll mark half an inch on both sides and ensure that it is on the curve of my armhole, as you can see. So I'll just make sure I have that right there, half an inch on both sides. And then I'll use my French curve now to connect it to this straight line in the middle. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to connect it all the way like so. So once we're done with this, guys, the next thing we need to do is extend the bottom line by half an inch. Now the reason why we are doing that is such that when we cut this out on fabric and when we are sewing, we are not shortened at that area. So extend it by half an inch. And then what I'm going to do now, after extending by half an inch, remember we took a dart allowance of 1 inch around this point, half an inch on both sides, remember. So we're going to, since we're going to cut that out, we're going to replace it on the bust line. So that 1 inch, I'm going to mark it right there. After my bust measurement divided by 4, I'm going to mark that 1 inch and then connect it to the half an inch extension I did on the armhole. So that is going to be our new armhole curve. And then of course we are going to fine tune the curve around our bust area, because your bust is not pointed, it is kind of curved. So just go ahead and fine tune it, curve it out where necessary. So now that we've done our bust measurement divided by 4, we added that allowance that we're taking at our armhole. So I'm going to come to our under bust. Now my under bust measurement divided by 4 is 7.5, and then we took a 2 inch that allowance, so we're going to mark that right there. And then I'll do the same thing for the waist. My waist measurement divided by 4, I'm going to mark it and then of course add the 2 inch dart allowance. So for this pattern, we're not adding any seam allowance. So you are going to add the seam allowance on your fabric. So no seam allowance for this, just dart allowance and then your measurement. So then I went ahead to join the points. So at my under bust area, I just have a little bit of excess of 0.25 inches. So I'm going to take note of that when I'm actually sewing my fabric. So for the off shoulder part, I'm going to go to my neckline area, and then I'll be taking my neckline depth of 6 inches. So I'm going to mark 6 inches right there. And then for my off shoulder parts, I'm going to come to the armhole area, and then you can do your off shoulder by 2 inches or by 3 inches, but I'll be working with 3 inches. And I make sure that it doesn't, come closer to the dart area. So I need to take note of that. So I'll be taking my off shoulder by 3 inches. So I'll just go ahead and connect this part, the neckline, to the armhole area, giving it like a sweetheart shape. So just connect it like so. So I want the arm of the off shoulder part to be the sleeve area that is going to come across my arm to be about 2 inches, and you can see it's ended just right before my dart area. So I make sure that I don't let it cross my dart area. So I'm going to mark that 2 inches, and then what I'm going to do is extend this curve outwards so that we'll be able to have our sleeved area that will go around our arm. So once I do that, now I'm going to take some measurements there. So the measurement I'm going to take right there is going to be my upper arm circumference, that's around my biceps, divided by 4. So my upper arm circumference is 12. 12 divided by 4 is 3 inches. So I'm going to mark 3 inches right there. And then, like I said, we have 2 inches here. So this part too should also be 2 inches. So just mark it there. And then for the bottom part of this, just add half an inch measurement to what you took at the top. So I have 3 right there. So I'm going to add half an inch, mark 3.5 inches. And then what we're going to do is connect the point. Remember, we've already done a 2-inch measurement, which is what I'm connecting. And then I'll just go ahead and connect the 3.5-inch measurements. So basically, this is it for the off shoulder part, and this is if you are doing like a cut together. So I'll just go ahead and cut out my pattern, and like I said, you're going to be adding your seam allowances on your fabric. So cut out your pattern, follow the curves where necessary, because if you don't cut the curves right, it's going to affect the fitting on the bust area. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out. And that is it, guys, for the front part. So guys, this is what we have for the front part. It is very, very important that you indicate where your allowances are. So for this middle part, for the front piece, everywhere is going to be taking an allowance of 0.5 inches. That's half an inch, 0.5 inches. So everywhere around the sleeve, the armhole area, everywhere for this middle part is going to take 0.5 inches. But for the side parts, the bottom, in fact for the side parts, everywhere is going to take 0.5 inches with the exception of the side seam area. You get? So it's just the side seam area that would have maybe like 1 inch, 1.5 inches, depending on what you want. So this is what we have for the front piece. So now for the back piece, I've drafted our layout. This is what we have. What I'm going to do is divide my armhole area into 2. I have 9 inches, so I'm going to mark 4.5. So 9 divided by 2 is 4.5, and I'm going to come down by 1 inch at the armhole area, just like I did for the front piece. So once we're done with that, we're going to move to the dart area. So for the back piece, I have my bust line, then my bust point line, and then my waist. You don't need your under bust for this. And from that center back to this point is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, and I connected it all the way across these 3 points. At this point right here, if you remember, we extended from the bust point line by half an inch for the front, but for the back I extended it by 1 inch, and it ended right at my bust line. So what I'm going to do is come to my waist area, we are going to be taking the dart measurement of 1/2 inch on both sides, and of course connect it all the way to the top right there. Once we are done with this is what we have. What we are going to be doing is to connect this point to the bust line area with a French curve or with a curved ruler. So I'll just go ahead and do that. And then what I'm going to do is to extend that curve area outwards, and then we'll be taking a 1/2 inch at the extension like we did for the front piece, so that we are not shortened in that regard, in that part of the pattern. So I take 1/2 inch at that point. So now I'm going to mark my bust measurement divided by 4, which is 9 inches. And then I'm going to use my French curve to connect that 9 inch to that 1/2 inch extension at the armhole area. So that is what we have. Then I'll come to my waistline area, mark my waist measurement divided by 4, which is 7.5, mark my 1 inch dart allowance right there, and then connect my waist to my bust. On this pattern, we are not adding any seam allowances. You can add your seam allowances on your fabric. So we're going to go ahead and move to the off shoulder part. So I'm 3 inches off for the front piece, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the back piece. I'm going to take 3 inches off, and then I'm going to mark the 2-inch sleeve width that I did for the front as well. I'm just going to mark that right there, and you can see it's a little bit above the curve of the armhole. So I'm just going to come to the neck depth. You can decide what neck depth length you want, or what neck depth you want. So I'll just go with the same thing for the front. That's 6 inches. So I don't want to do the sweetheart neckline for the back, so I'm just going to just change it up, and this is what we have. So I'll just go ahead and join the 2 points like so. Please remember that for this back piece there is no zipper allowance, so we're going to add a zipper allowance on our fabric. So what I'm going to do now is extend this curve upwards. Just extend it like so. Extend it upwards. And then the same thing we did for the front piece. My upper arm circumference divided by 4. That's 12 divided by 4, 3 inches. I'm going to mark that 3 inches right there. Then, of course, the width is 2 inches, which we've decided already. I'm going to mark that 2 inches right there. And then I'll come here, right here now, and then mark 3 inches plus half. That's 3.5 inches. That's very, very important. So what you have at the top is 3. What I have at the top is 3 inches. What I have at the bottom is 3.5 inches. So of course we need to join the points. So we are all done with this. So what I'm going to do is now go ahead and cut the pieces out. So like I said, there's no zipper allowance on this pattern, so I'll just go ahead and write add zipper allowance, so that when you're cutting this on fabric you do not forget. I'll just go ahead and cut the pattern out. So after cutting this out, we are going to be testing this on muslin fabric, or what you know as calico. So we're going to be doing a test garment for this pattern. After cutting, this is what we have. So I'll just go ahead and cut the center back area. Of course, remember, add zipper allowance. So guys, I've gone ahead to cut it out on my muslin fabric, and I have my 1 inch zipper allowance right there for the back piece, and 1/2 inch for the rest of the garments, for the rest of the parts that we're going to be sewing together. So that's the side seam. I added 1/2 inch. So I'll just take out the pins now, and what I'm going to be doing is putting the pieces together so I can go ahead and join them together with my sewing machine. So I'll just go ahead and place them like so. This is how we're going to be sewing them together. And then for my princess seam patterns, I like to sew from the bottoms up. So that's a rule that I always follow. So I always sew from the bottom up. So I'll be sewing that part by 1/2 inch. Do the same thing for this part as well. Go ahead and sew by 1/2 inch. So for the back piece, we have 4 pieces. cut out. For the front piece, we are going to have 3 pieces because the center piece is cut on fold. For this pattern now, everywhere has seam allowance of 1/2 inch, so I'll just place it like so, and then of course go ahead and join the pieces together and then sew it together by 1/2 inch seam allowance from bottoms up as well. So once I'm done sewing these pieces together, I'll come right here and then show you guys how this looks and then what we're going to do next. So guys, I'm all done sewing the pieces together. So the back piece is going to be in two. There's a little adjustment I want to make here. So I have like a little bit of excess at my underarm area. Of course, I'll go ahead and trim that part out. So if you remember that we have like a 1/2 inch extension added to our pattern, so sometimes you may need it, sometimes you may not need it. Just to be safe, add that 1/2 inch, and then what I'm doing now is trimming this out, and this is what it looks like. So this one that I've cut out now, I'll just use it to cut out the second half of the back piece. Just place it on top of it and then just use that to trim it out. That is what I did for this part. Go ahead and notch the joining. It's actually important for princess seam so that it can actually lay nice on your body, because that area is actually curved. So ensure that you notch your princess seam patterns when you cut it out on fabric. So we move to the front piece now. This is what we have. You can see the bust area coming out. So we have a little adjustment to make right here. So because of the way the front piece is cut, you can see the way the extended part is coming out. So I'm going to cut this in such a way that I still have an extra 1/2 inch allowance at this under part area. So I'm just going to trim it out. Like I said, that at the end of the day, I'll still end up with 1/2 inch. So if I'm going to line this pattern now, when I place it on top, as you can see, this is what I have. When I place the lined part on top and then I want to sew by the seam allowance, I just sew from the edge, come to the seam, joining the 2 pieces together, and then, as you can see, and then just cross over to the armhole like that. So that's just what I'm going to do. So this correction that I've done on this part, I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side of the armhole. Just go ahead and correct that, ensuring that I have 1/2 inch left for this underarm area. This is what we have, guys. I'm going to place them together with right side stitching. Go ahead and sew the side seam by 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then of course join this off shoulder sleeve parts together by a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I've joined the pieces together and this is what I have. So I just decided to sew the underarm area so that it looks kind of like neat. And then what I'm going to do is to go ahead and test this out on my body to see the fitting. Unfortunately, I don't have that part on camera, but I'm going to tell you what I experienced. So after testing this out, I realized that the only part that needed correcting was the upper sleeve area, that's around the top right there. So I need to take about 0.75 inches off on both sides at the top, only at the top. So how am I going to do that? So I just turn it back right inside, and then I'll be marking 0.75 inches at the top from the seam allowance. The seam allowance is excluded, and then I mark my 0.75 inches, and then I'm going to connect it all the way to where I have that seam sewn already. I'm just going to do the same thing for the other side as well. Mark 0.75 inches away from the initial 0.5 inch seam allowance. So that 0.5 inch seam allowance is excluded, it's not part of it. And then I'm going to connect it all the way down to the bottom of where I have that seam right there. And then of course I'm going to sew it together. And after sewing, I'm going to just go ahead and trim it off so that I still have my seam allowance of 0.5 inches. So guys, this is it. Once I have this all corrected now, that's why sometimes it's good to create test garments so you can try out your fittings, adjust it on your pattern before making your real garment. Like I said, once all adjustments are made, I'll get my pattern paper, make that correction where necessary, and of course I can now go ahead and create my outfit. So guys, this is what we have. I hope this tutorial was helpful to you guys. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. I hope it was helpful to you. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this tutorial, and then we hope to see you guys in our next video. Thank you for watching, and bye guys.